So, Ambassador, thank you very much for your time. I know you're winding up here in Guyana.
Right.
I may be wrong or presumptuous, but I would say that in recent times, much of your work in Guyana has been focused on getting U.S. private investment into Guyana. Could you tell me how that's going?
You are absolutely right, Neil, and thank you. It's wonderful to see you again. It's wonderful to have this interview. But that has been a real priority for Embassy Georgetown. It was one of my top priorities to make sure that I told and my staff told U.S. companies the story of Guyana and all of the wonderful opportunities that are available to investors right now. So we did spend a lot of time over these years contacting U.S. companies. And to be honest, we didn't stop during the dark days of COVID. We worked the phones, we had webinars, we did a lot of things virtually during those days. And then when things opened up, we hosted trade missions here. We had a very large Louisiana trade mission, the largest U.S. trade mission ever to Guyana. We had a large Florida delegation as well as others. And all of those trade missions resulted in deals. And so when I first arrived here, there were a handful of U.S. companies here, very, very big companies that you might know. But we were really focused on small and medium-sized companies because they tend to be the engine of change for any nation. And so we were able to, together with the Guyanese, attract a lot of U.S. companies to come here and explore, and many of them chose to invest. Some of them even just small family-owned companies that were first-time investors overseas. So it's so exciting to see all of these companies be successful. We do tell them to come with a plan, do their homework, have an idea, of what you want to do, and then get a local partner. So most of them, the successful ones, have listened to our advice, and we're so pleased to see them doing so well.
Any examples you want to cite of the new ones that have been able to come in, or what fruits have come out of those engagements in the past?
Family-owned business, one of the ones I'm talking about is out of Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, Meyer Marine, and they're in shipping, and they had never thought about investing overseas, but they heard this Guyana story. And they were one of the ones that did their research. They came here, which we always say is important, to establish trust, and they decided to invest. And besides investing, they're giving back. They're training Guyanese to be welders and do construction at high standards, et cetera. So they have really done well here. In terms of other new companies, well, I was at the Building Expo last week, which was really big, and a lot of different companies there. The U.S. had a number of companies. Two that come to mind are New Century, which is building affordable homes for Guyanese, and they have a contract to build 200 of them right away. And it was just so impressive to see how their creative technology works. They have a lot of prefabricated materials, and they can actually put up a modest home, but it's 3 bedrooms, so it's not that modest, but an affordable one-level home in less than a month, and at a cost that many Guyanese can easily afford. So that's exciting. And then Machine Tech is another U.S. company. They've been here for a little bit, but a very small company doing a lot in metalworks and piping and such. So they are involved in the petroleum industry, but also they make furniture. And they had some very interesting pieces out there. They had tables and chairs and this very creative chandelier that was exciting to see, that even within some of these companies, they're diversifying their work.
So then when you're selling Guyana, when you're pitching Guyana, are you saying come and look at what's available in this sector or that sector, or have you been spreading a wide net?
Well, we think it's very important that Guyana diversify the economy, because if they don't, they could fall victim to the oil curse, as have many countries that find themselves in this, new day of having all these oil resources. So we spread the wealth, and we talk to potential investors across the board. So not just oil and gas, but agriculture, manufacturing, IT, services, tourism, et cetera. And the story is resonating. People, investors are very interested in looking at Guyana, as the fastest, or at least one of the fastest growing economies in the world at 60% last year, looking ahead at maybe upwards of 25% for the next few years. They would be silly to not look at Guyana. So we've been very clear that come in eyes open. There are still some barriers to investment. There are still some challenges with the infrastructure, poor infrastructure, high cost of electricity, and not a lot of people, and some skills that need to be developed. But when these investors come in eyes wide open, they are very impressed.
So I wanted to ask you about the agreement signed maybe a year ago with the Exim Bank and the $2 billion that was available for U.S. companies. I wanted to know if any had tapped into that specifically.
There are a few that are in the works right now, a few deals in the works right now. Some of them have taken a little bit longer because they're of a significant size. But yes, that was a very exciting moment, a $2 billion MOU that will unlock much of this investment for some of these companies. And that will be important, again, especially for the smaller, medium-sized companies. And I think Guyana is very interested in working with Exim Bank.